So we'll post this as well, and you'll be able to access this recording after the call as well as a resource for you. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the dialer, we have, and this is available to you once you've gone into your profile and you've gone into your calling plan and you've chose a phone number. You will then be able to go into the dialer and create campaigns. So there are 3 different types of campaigns that you can create in the dialer. Okay. The first one that I'm going to cover is more of a dynamic campaign, and it's based on the information and the people that you have currently in your system. So you can create this campaign much like I am now. I'm just going to name this test pre-approval. And I'm going to say that this is for borrowers. So you could pick these campaigns based on a borrower or partner statuses or milestones. If you have a team, you can pick from your team who would be able to make those calls. So if you choose a team member, it would create this dialer campaign in their dialer campaign list as well. From there, you can pick the milestones, sources, call dispositions, statuses that would qualify. Unlike in marketing, which I believe we're making some adjustments to, I could come in here, I could say, okay, I want my pre-approved and I want my pre-qualified, right, for anybody in those statuses. You could additionally add milestones as well, right? I like to shy away a little bit from adding milestones and statuses. The more specific you get, unless that's what you're trying to do, sometimes you don't realize that you're missing people who you are trying to reach. So just be careful that whatever you choose, you're getting the list of qualified people that you want to be in this list. There are some additional fields as well, date of births and closing dates. Now, if I were to set this up for like a virtual assistant, I could add a phone script. Dial sets, just to clarify, this is the list of dispositions that you would see while that phone is ringing. So while you're on the call and it's ringing, these are the dispositions that would show. And then you have live answer dispositions once the call has been answered. So you would click that button, which I'll show you as well. There are 2 different dial modes, and you can hover over info and it'll give you more details as well. So power dial will automatically call after a certain period of time. So you start your campaign, you call your number, right? You hang up that call, it's going to start a countdown. So if I put 5 seconds in here, it would wait 5 seconds. So I would see a countdown. It would give me time to review the next contact, and then it's automatically going to call. I wouldn't select dial or the call to begin. Pause and preview gives me an unlimited amount of time to review the next caller's information before going in and making that call. So I hit create. Now these would be the people who are currently showing with either a pre-approved, pre-qualified milestone, status, and a pre-approved milestone. Okay, so I would simply click to select all, click begin, and then you see I'm going to get my first number up here. Again, no counter, nothing like that, because I put this on the pause and preview. If I call this first number, they don't answer. If I had a home or a work number, I would then be able to select this home or this work number to call next. So that way I could continue through calling all of their numbers. Down here are the dispositions that I was referring to. These are the dial mode dispositions down here. And I'm going to get into the settings afterwards. I just wanted you guys to first see kind of where this all plays out in the dialer before going into the settings and you guys not being unsure as far as what that meant or where that would apply. While in the call, I can see their information. I can see previous call notes. If, like I said, there was a phone script, I could see the phone script here. If there was activity within the lead or the loan, I could see that here. I could additionally filter out any of that transactional notes, lists, actions, triggers here. So this way I can see everything all in one spot without having to go too deep into the file. Now, if I had to go into the file and I had to, and I wanted to look further into it, I could click this button up here to minimize this. This is now able to be dragged around the screen, so it's not blocking or obstructing in any way. I could click the borrower, go into the borrower. I could see their information, review their details, all of that. From these action items, I could create follow-up dates. I could schedule an event on my calendar. If they said, hey, let's jump on a call at 1 o'clock tomorrow, I could click and do that, or I could assign tasks to myself or to somebody else as well. Additionally, on here, I could pause this dial session. So say I had made it halfway through my list and I needed to take a break for whatever reason, I could pause this dial session, which would then allow me, when I came back into the dialer, to then resume the dial session. So that way I don't have to start all over. I don't have to reselect names. I don't have to do any of that. Okay. I could also end this dial session. And now I would have to choose to begin anew if that's what I wanted to do. I could, as you saw, I could pick one name as well. I don't have to select all. You could pick one name and just go through it. So here you could change the status as well based on your conversation. If it was a new campaign, for example, and they answered, you might want to change it to the status to contacted. And now in doing that, just to show you in this example, based on how we set it, if I had select appointment scheduled and then I were to end the campaign, it would remove, based on my qualifications within the campaign, I believe I had 5 people in here previously, now I have 4, it would remove that out of the campaign. So that's, again, dynamic, right? So it's looking at the data that you are saying qualifies them to be in the campaign, whether it's a status or a milestone. So if that status or milestone changes, their name would be removed from this campaign. All right. The second type of campaign that you have is more of a static campaign, and you can do that via a quick campaign where you just drag and drop a CSV file of names and phone numbers in here. It will not add it to your leads pipeline unless you tell it you want it to do so here using this toggle. So if you were to go buy a list, you could drop that list in, you could just start calling, and this would not clog up your leads pipeline. Again, you could apply your dial sets. You could attach somebody else to be able to make these calls for you. So you have some functionality there as well within the core of the system. Additionally to the, give me one quick second here. Sorry, guys.
Recording in progress.
So additionally to the static campaign here, you have the ability, again, to drag and drop, add your quick list, make those calls. We just had a couple people just hop in. So just recapping, there will be a video that you can go back, you can watch to see what you missed on these calls. Right now, we're talking about kind of these static campaigns, the quick campaigns. We just covered the dynamic campaigns where it's based on your filter sources and stuff like that. And then we're going to go over the disposition settings and things like that here in just a minute. So another option for you is to go into your pipeline. Hang on. If everybody could just mute, I'm not sure where the feedback's coming from. I think we're good. I think everybody's muted now. Another option is to go into your prospect list. You could pick people from this. So you could go through your pipeline. You could filter out your pipeline however you want to pick who qualifies. You could select those people, and then you could come down here and move to a campaign, and you could create a new realtor for example, this is partner prospects, so it could be realtors, no phone script. We'll just go with our default dial mode, live answer mode, and pause and preview again, because I'm not gonna power dial them every 5 seconds. I want to be able to review some notes, whatever. Now these people would be in this. So when I go back to my dialer, I would see here's the realtors, here's the realtor list. These will not drop out of here without you manually clicking and then selecting to remove from campaign or move to a different campaign. Okay. So if I don't want that person in, I have to manually do that from this list. Unlike the dynamic campaigns where you're picking your realtors based on a status or a milestone, that would be different, right? Moving on to settings. So within our settings, we have our disposition buttons. So as we saw when I had the dialer window open, you have different dispositions that function and do things differently. So I'm going to duplicate one of these here, so that way I can go in and just edit this and show you. So the name is for yourself. The button name, that's what will show on the button on your dialer. One touch email, you can add email templates. So for example, if you had a bad number and you were to call and you were in that dial mode, right? Bad number, you click that button, you could have an email that sends out saying, hey, tried calling you, the number I had, didn't work. What's a better number I could reach you at? And that would send out on your behalf automatically without you having to then turn around and come back in and send out that email, just based on that click. You can add voicemail. So you could create voice recordings and you could leave those voicemails without having to sit there and record a live voicemail each time. We have the ability to create one-touch text messaging as well. So you could create a text message just like email, where it would send out that, based on that disposition, it would send that text. It could send the text and the email. However you wanted to configure that, you could add them to your do not call list. You could delete the contact altogether, delete the phone number altogether, or you could force, based on the disposition, to schedule a date and time to follow up. All right. So that's in your dispositions. It's important, and you can make copies of dispositions. You can make dispositions specific to a calling campaign that you're doing, where you may have different sets of emails and text messages that go out to a realtor partner because you want to make those more specific than to a borrower. So you can set all of that up and configure all of that here. The one thing that I like about this is you can build these and create these while on the fly. So you don't have to say, oh, I want this text. Oh, now I need to cancel out of here. I need to go to my SMS template. I need to add the template. Then I'll go back. Then I'll set up the dial set or the disposition. So you can make them on the fly as you're building those. Again, here we saw this on the front end when you were in the dialer. These are the dial sets. So you have dial mode. This would make it a favorite. So by default, it would apply these if you were to just quick dial and start dialing without selecting anything. But it shows you the buttons that are here listed. And anytime you wanted to make changes, you would make changes by just editing. And then you would select in here. You could see all of the different dispositions that were there and available. Hang on one second, and then you could just pick and choose. Hey, Derek, are you on this call?
I am.
Oh, kind of breaking up.
Yes.
Okay. Are you in front of the computer or no? If not, I can do it real quick. So there were a couple people who were looking for the
No,
invite.
I am not.
Okay, all right, no worries.
I did send the invite though.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so pick back up here. Sorry, guys, one quick sec. All right. So these are those, like I said, these are the disposition buttons that will show, and you can, again, you can pick whatever you want to add into your dial set dispositions. If you click update, it would save those. So as of right now, you're going to make copies of what we have as templates. So that way you'll have the ability to revert back if you make a change and you don't want that. But additionally, you can make copies of your copies because you may create a base for yourself and then just make small modifications for the realtor, for a borrower, or for specific campaigns. So that way you are sending the correct messaging, one-touch SMS, one-touch email out to your intended audience. In here, you also find where you can record your voicemail library, your email templates, your text templates, build your phone scripts, and then your do not call list is here. So if somebody is placed on do not call, you will see them here. You could then, as an admin, you would be able to remove them from the do not call list if it was unintentional. Or you could add somebody to the do not call list by clicking, and you could either upload a file, a CSV of people who you do not want to call, or you could manually just start adding numbers in here. So that way the system won't trigger to call. I'm not sure if you guys have gone in to your contacts, but if you go into your borrower contacts, you would see down here your dialer campaigns. If they were listed on a do not call, it would show, as well as marketing. If they had opted out of text or email, you would see those here as well. And this is where you could also enable them specific to the individual. Reporting right now, where we have down the road, we'll make some enhancements to reporting, but for right now, it's just going to keep it's going to keep your call log for you. See, we have questions. We've got a few more people joining. All right. So for those of you who have just joined, just ask you to mute, make sure I don't get any feedback. We're covering the dialer today. We've covered dynamic dialing, static dialing, as far as being able to choose a list or use your current list and just filter down. And so people who qualified based on a status, like you're pre-approved and looking, right? If they were pre-approved, they would show up on the list. As soon as they were submitted to underwriting and the status changed, they would no longer show on your pre-approved and looking dialer campaign. We covered some of the settings in here as well. So everything that we've recorded, if you have missed, will be sent to you. So you could go back and you could review that recording, as well as anybody who needs further assistance is encouraged to set up a call, put in a support ticket, just asking for us to hop on a call with you and help set you up so you're using these things as well. So I believe I've covered the basic functionalities. I see there's a few questions in here. So, all right, let's see. So dialer's campaign set for a team member, but they're on vacation. Do you need to do anything to take over on their behalf? No, you can just go in. So if you have a team member, we showed when creating a campaign, you could assign this to a team member. So if I created a campaign and I assigned that campaign to a team member, for example, like this pre-approved and looking, I would see this campaign as well, and I could also run this campaign. So if you have somebody who's out, and I know I've seen a lot of people who come in here and they name these like Thursday pre-approved and looking, Monday, new leads, Friday, realtor follow-up, right? So they're listed out by day. So you could come in and you would just select and begin dialing the campaign, and then you would leave the notes and it would show in the log in the disposition. So you still are able to control this. If you have loan officer assistants, loan partners who create campaigns, they also, just like you, assign their loan officer to it. So when they're working a list, it's assigned to a loan officer. So that way you are on their dial list if they assign that to you. So you can see who is being called and what lists are being called. And then hope that answered your question there, Tristan. Tristan jumped out. Getting Tristan back here. Michelle, where do you record and serve voicemail? So that was in the settings. I know I covered that, but I'm not sure if you saw that. I know. So in here, you'd have your voicemail, and this is where you could record or upload a voicemail.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Shows.
Hi. Hello.
Anthony. Hey, Tony. Hey, how are you? Did you have a question for me, or was that accidental? Was it like a butt
No,
dial?
that was accidental. Sorry.
No worries. No worries.
20 phone calls. I had to step away. So
Tristan, I see you're back in. Can you hear me?
I am. Yeah, I
Hey.
can.
All right. So I had answered your question, and then I realized you were getting back in the room. So it looked like you had gotten kicked out or had to drop off.
Yeah, we had a power flicker.
Oh, no worries. So did you hear the answer or no?
I did not.
Okay. So in the campaign, when you're creating that campaign and you assign that campaign to somebody else, which is what I think you were referring to, if they're out of town, that campaign still shows in your campaign list, and so you could still pick it up and dial it.
Okay.
Yeah. So assigning it to somebody else is basically just enabling that other person to be able to see that campaign.
Okay.
And now one thing I do want to point out on here, when you select a follow-up, right? When you pick follow-up, that's going to move here to this follow-up dialer campaign. It doesn't create a task in your task center. That's something that we've been exploring and talking about doing. But as of right now, it's not creating tasks. It's moving it to today's follow-up campaign that's in your dialer. So that's probably the one thing. And then based on the type of campaign, borrow partner, or again, remember I use the word isolated for those that are like the quick campaigns or the filter where you filter down your pipeline and you just put them in a campaign where you're not picking what qualifies them to be in the campaign. That would be that isolated campaign. So just make sure you're clicking through here. And we've had conversation about just really merging all of these into one, so it's not 4 separate tabs, because a follow-up is a follow-up. It just makes it nice for you to know which type of contact you are reaching out to, but I think we can handle this a little different. So again, you'll see based on, like I was saying, you'll start getting weekly updates here moving forward with the feature enhancements that we're deploying week over week. So that way you're in sync and in tune with what's going on. Are there any other questions on the dialer? There's nothing else in the chat, but are there any other questions that anybody has on the dialer that they want to ask?
I have a question.
Yeah, Tanya, knock it out.
When is the light feature coming on?
That's not in the dialer. I didn't schedule that, of course. So it is in beta for us to test now. We've moved it from just our development side to testing. There are a few things that we're still just dialing in from a coloring perspective. You know, if you look at a lot of what we do, we have like gradient, right? Where it's blue to like a really light blue on a white background. This is really washed out. So they're going in and they're changing all of these colors to solid colors, removing some of these gradient features because they were really washed out, as well as some of these things, these icons where it's just a thin line that you see well on the dark side. When you go to light mode, you don't see those. So we're again having to change these to be completely filled in. So that way they pop more. I don't have a release date. I'm hoping sooner than later. That's been a pet project of mine, specifically something that I have really been pushing for several months. So I'm hoping we're at the finish line and you see that within this quarter, within this next quarter.
Cool, thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, well, if no other questions, like I said, we'll have this video posted. You could go back, watch. For those who joined late, I apologize. I will make sure that everybody has the invite, as well as we're going to start putting this on social media as well. So you can check our social media to register for these calls each week going forward. So if you don't get the email, check social media and click to register. And we look forward to seeing you on the call.
Hey, Adam, I have one more quick question.
Yeah, knock it out.
This version is, what version is this? Because I don't have all those features. So I'm guessing this is an enhanced version.
So this is all of these features are on our pro version.
Okay.
The basic doesn't have the dialer. So if you're on the basic version, that doesn't have the dialer features and the marketing features attached to that. So if that's the case for you, which I think that was what you were on, we can connect if these are features that you want, and we can talk about that.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. If no other questions, I'm going to give everybody a little bit of their time back today and keep on the lookout for our next call. Appreciate everybody hopping on and appreciate you guys being a part of MloFlo. Thanks, guys.